I recently saw a video in which this evil bitch Yvette Felarca was interviewed at a news station. It was regarding her organising of the chaos that went down in Berkeley a few days ago. Have a look.
Now is Yvette Felarca with the group By Any Means Necessary. And Yvette, I know that you were there. First of all, tell me, what specifically is it about Milo Yiannopoulos that you and others have an issue with?
Well, first of all, Milo Yiannopoulos is a fascist.
Wrong.
He's a white supremacist.
Wrong.
He's funded by Steve Bannon and Breitbart.
He works for Breitbart News.
He's an acolyte of Donald Trump.
He's a supporter of Donald Trump's presidency.
And he was on the UC Berkeley campus to try to recruit more fascists and to wage attacks on Muslim students, immigrant students, women and trans students.
He was there to promote his personal beliefs and make good use of his freedom of speech.
Now, Milo himself denies those allegations.
Because they're not fucking true.
But again, that's why you were there, and that's why you felt like it was important for him not to speak. What is the real fear of him having a conversation with the 500 students or the 500 people who had bought tickets to the event?
You might want to duck and cover, because she's about to drop a knowledge bomb on us.
Well, just to go back to how you characterize the protest, this isn't a question of violent versus peaceful protests. I was there, and there were thousands of people out there who were united. It was a mass protest. It was a militant protest. And everyone was there to shut him down. And so whatever it was going to take to do that, we were all there with a united cause, and we were stunningly successful.
So it is a case of violent versus peaceful protest then, isn't it? Because your stunningly successful riot was achieved with violence, and will now go on to promote that violent protests against the right is acceptable. And not only is it acceptable, but it's encouraged by the far left, the media, and even the state as long as you live in the right place. This woman's a fucking sociopath.
But why not be peaceful about it? Why not, chant and hold your signs and things? But when you take the barricades and you destroy the building and when you set fires, isn't that counterproductive?
I think that the left has been far too timid for way too long. And it's why we've even gotten in this position where we even have someone like Donald Trump leading a fascist movement as the president of the United States.
Spoilers. She never actually explains what fascist movement she's referring to here.
We need to make sure that we have more mass protests, more militant protests that are mass and militant. And the reality is that these aren't people just putting forward their ideas. There's white supremacists who've already murdered 6 Muslims just 5 days ago in Quebec. There was a woman in Korea, or not from Korea, but who was from Korea.
Who is not from Korea, who is from Korea. Which is it, dickhead?
In Los Angeles, who was just beaten down by a white supremacist. We have a right to defend ourselves, and not only a right, we have an obligation to do that, not just for each other, but for our communities too.
So if that shit actually did happen, then it's obviously something that needs to be taken very seriously. But that doesn't change the fact that Milo isn't a white supremacist. Your argument falls to pieces when someone inserts an ounce of logic. The telltale sign of a bullshit argument.
Let's go back, though, to the speaker and the fact that he was going to be speaking to 500 people. And some say that because of what happened at the protest, this got national attention. He did national interviews. And so instead of his voice being heard by 500 people, now millions of people are online Googling Milo Yiannopoulos. So does that defeat a little bit of what you were trying to do?
The right wing and the fascists in this country already have a spokesperson, and they've already found one in Trump, Steve Bannon, and also now Milo. But now what I think was so important about our success on Wednesday, which is why it should be the model for how the movement needs to take things now in the future.
Really?
Yeah, because, but let me finish.
Whoa! Alright, calm down there, nutcase. Got a little bit vitriolic there. She needs to be more careful. If she lets the veil slide down too much, people might be able to get a glimpse past the bullshit and see her for the nasty, vindictive cunt that she is.
Clearly Wednesday was not business as usual. It was people fighting united in a mass effort, in a united effort, and by any means necessary.
But you know, though, that some in the business community, they were really upset because they, too, were targeted. They were blocks away from the university. And so when you talk about this happening again, some in the business community have voiced a lot of frustration with what they've seen before. And now to anticipate even more of that, you can understand that frustration and that there is a lot of concern about what is happening at these protests.
Yeah, that just shows what a load of crap this whole supposed movement is. Some guy gets up to speak about some shit that we don't like, So we're going to go and trash private property a few blocks away from the place that we're actually supposed to be protesting against. If I didn't know any better, I'd say it was just an excuse for a load of obnoxious, anxious little faggot teens to go out and smash shit up, to give themselves a sense of power and control before going back to their mother's house and kissing her goodnight like a good little choir boy.
And that innocent people, those that may be with your cause, may actually be hurt as well.
But there's two things to that. One, Chancellor Dirks is responsible for anything that happened. And if the business community is upset, they should join the professors and students and community members who are demanding that Dirks step down immediately. Because he had a chance to cancel the event to make sure it didn't happen. There were hundreds of professors who demanded that for safety reasons. He didn't listen.
Right, so because the Chancellor didn't give in to your demands, it's his fault that you went and smashed Berkeley to pieces. So if we don't give in to terrorists and surrender the continents of Europe, America and Australia, then it's our own fault when our men, women and children are butchered. That's what you just said. Go on, what's your next point? I guarantee it'll put this one into some kind of context.
Two, a few broken windows is nothing compared to the lives that are at stake. And if that's what it takes in order to make sure that more people don't get targeted, if that's what it takes to make sure that Milo Yiannopoulos or another white supremacist is not welcome or allowed to come to UC Berkeley and attack our community, then good. Let's make sure then that that doesn't happen in the future.
Right, so acts of violence and damaging private property is okay because it shows that some gay guy you don't like isn't welcome in some university that you don't own.
So no regrets at all about what took place?
You know, what we need to do is we've got to draw lessons from this in terms of how we can build and build even stronger, how we can make sure that we build the movement, and also that we continue to organize, because it's not spontaneous. This is about organizing and fighting by any means necessary.
Yeah, it's about planning your terrorist activities and then going onto national television and broadcasting that you're planning your terrorist activities. I can't believe this type of shit is still happening in this day and age. I challenge this cunt to name one other place that she'd rather live. The American people are some of the most tolerant and diverse people on earth, but somehow this dickhead has managed to recreate reality in her own head and then have people rally behind her based on said reality. And to anyone who intends to go to one of these political debates or political protests, be fucking careful, because it's only a matter of time until the stakes are raised. This will happen again, and it's not far off. The people on the right are going to start carrying weapons just to protect themselves. It seems as though this is going to be a war of escalation, and without backup from the police, or the biased press actually reporting on facts, I can't see things calming down anytime soon. So listen to your Uncle Wolfie, and don't go outside without your stab-proof vest, little dearies. I'll see you all in a bit, Nazis. Fuck off.